Well, they have a saying, just keep swimming, I say. Brendan Martin having one
Show must go
hell
on,
of a
Rob.
week. Look
We
at
are ready.
all that findage.
Ready to
And
Show
it's
is going on,
all
Rob.
the way
We
down.
no matter trains, planes, and automobiles, my friend, we always find a way to get the show
Yeah,
on.
buddy.
I ran a string of internet cable over the top this morning of that tree.
Unbelievable.
It
I'm telling
continues,
you,
Rob.
that's a water oak.
Don't
Oh
worry.
yeah, that's what
In
we
the
have
house.
here in Ocala, Rob.
Realize
Water
that
oaks.
most of the
And when you
damage
get
is
all that
done
dry stuff, you get all that
right
dry
there.
stuff, you know the water's
Yeah.
sucking up to the
I
top.
will right
So hey man, I just want to know.
here
I was standing right there.
when she came in.
And we're going to roll that footage. That
We're
footage.
live. We've already been rolling the footage, Rob Browne.
Okay,
we're
I just
live
didn't
on the
see it.
show, baby. Let's go. Let's go.
All right, I just didn't see it.
I know. You hear about every 10th word of mine. It's all right, baby. We're live today. Praise Jesus. Praise God. I am glad to be here. That's it.
We are live.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, no question. I'm not hearing you as well, but we've got a great show today. Ron Higgins, great sports writer, award-winning sports writer from Baton Rouge, will check in with us. Brad Logan of the Logan Media Network checks in with us from Mississippi. Vince Ferraro from the Sports Animal in Knoxville will check in as well. We're going to touch all 16 in the SEC. As Commissioner Sankey said in Dallas, I'm concerned about my 16. A lot going on in college football, college athletics. There's movement in the aisles. And guess what? You know what we're going to do? We're going to try to solve all the problems that are going on, all the mysteries in the next hour and a few seconds. So stay with us. Get pen and paper handy because here we come on this Wednesday, July 24th, 2024.
Sidelines with Rob Browne. Talk sporty to me.
All right, Ron Higgins joins us. And Brenden, I guess Ron, his dad is a sports writer, Buddy Martin, been writing a long time. I mentioned I was going to have you on the show today. Everybody knows you. We know you from up here in Memphis, longtime writer, and we miss you. I am a huge fan of the sports writers because reading is like lifting weights with your brain. And when we read about the stories versus just watching a quick soundbite on TV, we get the full story. So thanks for joining us. And how you been doing since you got back from Dallas?
I've been doing good. Been doing better than Brenden. Man, Brenden. I mean, I just had my trees trimmed, because we live in hurricane country down here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And, man, I looked at that. Wow. First, I'm going to say this. I'm sure Brenden gets tired of hearing this, but Buddy Martin is one of my favorite humans in the whole world of sports writing. And just what he's done in Florida in sports writing and the way he's been able to reinvent himself so many times. I mean, it's unbelievable. So I just want to say that right off. And but yeah, since Dallas, I've kind of detoxed some. I mean, when you hear that many coaches and all of them are, all of them have a bunch of good kids who work really hard,
Yeah.
But it was good. The longest 16 teams. I mean, now the full 4 days, and I liked it. Listen, look. When they added Texas and they announced adding Texas Oklahoma League, I was like, yeah. I mean, I was excited, not just because of football, because of what they bring in every sport.
Correct.
Guys, I mean, this league is just sick now. I mean, I'm gonna have to look this up. Since the SEC expanded its previous expansion, I think 11 years ago. Texas and Oklahoma have combined for like 48 national titles in different sports. So they add a lot to the league and everything. That's why I like them. That's what the SEC. That's what they look for. I know people say, well, they look for football value, and well, yeah, I agree, but they look for a state flagship school that has great overall athletic programs. It fits the demographic of the SEC. The one thing I like about the SEC, I know the SEC prides itself on this, is that the fact that all the schools and SEC states, all the states, they touch each other. Mm-hmm. But you don't have UCLA playing in the ACC four time zones away, whatever it is.
Yeah,
they all fit together, and I think the SEC is very they're proud about that, and that's what they shoot for.
Well, that's what Commissioner Sankey said about the contiguous footprint, and I'm with you, Ron. I mean, my friend Dave Cody, I met him in Memphis, 41 years ago, worked as a sports anchor in Austin for 27 years, and he watches the show every day now. He's retired running a golf course out in Washington, but he said, they take a lot of pride in all those other sports, as does Oklahoma, and that's a big deal. And I heard on the ACC network watching this morning about Stanford. They've won 137 NCAA championships, which I think is the most of any school in America. So they're going to bring a lot. I know it's a lot of travel, but that part of it is, and I'm with you. Brenden and I were working we'd get up about 6 and knock off about 10 at night because we did Buddy's show late at night and our show in the morning and again in the afternoon. I thought the media days, the way they did it, over 1,200 credentialed media personnel, I thought it was fantastic. And still, the best questions come from guys like you and Barry Trammell and Kirk Bowles, who, what in the hell's going on? He's at the Houston Chronicle now. I mean, Barry Trammell, the Tulsa World. The commercial appeal will never get over losing you. I mean, we hang on every word that you write, Ron, and it just gets more fun, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, first of all, I told Kirk Bowles he was my hero. I said, I'm 67. Kirk's over 70. I said, for you to make a move as a free agent at your age, I said, you're the hero of every old sports writer out there.
Yes.
When I went to the commercial appeal, I think it was 83, November of 83. That's right. Their SEC coverage was kind of scattered. I mean, they had different pockets, and they allowed me to create an SEC writing position, so to speak, where I could float and cover. In Memphis, you have Ole Miss an hour away, Mississippi State probably 2 hours away, Arkansas is like 5 hours away, Tennessee is like 5.5 hours away, Vandy's right there. In fact, Tuscaloosa is closer to Memphis than Knoxville is, by the way.
Yeah. 3.5 hours.
Yeah. So they allowed me to cover everybody in the league and make it a league-wide thing. And I really tried hard to do that and make it interesting and innovative and different things I did. And I'm proud of that. One time, but the second time the SEC hosted, Memphis hosted the SEC basketball tournament, I went to my editor and said, because you always put out a special section when the SEC tournament comes to town.
Yeah.
Start off, and I said, I want to write the special section. He goes, great. I said, no, I'm going to write the whole thing, the whole special section. And I said, and here's what I want to do. Because I've been on a plane going somewhere on a football trip, and I planned out this entire special section on the back of a plane ticket. And he let me do it. And so I wrote this whole special. I mean, I just felt that committed to my readers, because Memphis is a hodgepodge of SEC alumni. It's not just the Mid-South people. They have a lot of LSU people, a lot of Alabama people.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's there. So I felt almost like I compelled to kind of make sure I included everybody. And it was a great education. I learned a lot about the league. I'm glad I did it. I can see the viewpoint of almost every team in the league, and I have a soft spot in my heart for schools that compete despite lower budgets. like Mississippi State, I think they do a hell of a job from what they have.
They do.
I know people kill Starkville. And, they don't like Starkville. I think Starkville, it's come a long way.
Check out that hat.
Yeah. Yeah. Starkville has, when I first started covering Mississippi State, Starkville had like one hotel.
Yeah.
It was awful. They've improved everything. I think when you get in the SEC, you find out you better improve everything from your town to your facilities in a hurry. That's one. That's one reason the SEC just doesn't let anybody in, and that's like Texas and Oklahoma called SEC. Okay, SEC wasn't looking to expand. They called the SEC. The SEC. Yeah, well, you're exactly what we're looking for. Yeah, that wasn't a no-brainer. I'm sure the vote. I'm sure the vote of the presidents was. You want Texas and Oklahoma in? Anybody say we're all good? Okay, next on the agenda. So
yeah, Ron, I was there at the Winfrey Hotel in Hoover when Jimbo Fisher was up on the podium for A&M's segment, and somebody just what a coincidence, Jimbo, what do you know about Oklahoma and Texas inquiring about joining the SEC? He was white as a ghost, and that was a done deal before they brought it up, and there were all these people going, well, it only takes 3 votes to keep them out. I mean, seriously, I think it's great. You've been gone from Memphis 8 years or 9 years now?
I think about 11 years now, probably.
God,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. My last year, I just started Hugh Freeze's second season.
Yeah, it was 13 when you left. You're right.
In fact, my last game, Ole Miss went to Austin and really pounded Texas. And later, when I saw Hugh that season when they came to LSU, I think they'd lost a couple of games. I told them, look, all I know is I had y'all undefeated. Okay, when I left, okay, it's up to you to keep you unbeaten. Y'all didn't do it. But yeah, that's I left Memphis and I guess came home, so to speak. You never think you're going to go home. I'm from Baton Rouge. My dad was sports information director at LSU for like 19 years, and you never think you're going to come home. But when Thomas McCune called me, and to work out of Baton Rouge as a columnist, and it's like it was a dream job, really. I mean, and they paid me an obscene amount of money, which you really never expect in this business. You really don't. And when you hired like that, you always know sooner or later the money's going to run out. And it ran out right before the 2018 football season, and I went to Jackson, Mississippi for 90 days, and they used me for football season. Gannett did, and they decided it wasn't working out. I don't know how they figured that because I improved this page with and then I came back to Baton Rouge and I worked for TigerDetails.com, a Rivals website. Then I worked for Tiger. Then I went back I was the editor of Tiger Rag magazine, which I started out in the business. That's why I started out my first job out of college. And then I went back to Tiger Details until Rivals decided they want to make a management change. And I wasn't all about that. But there's FreeportBossierJournal.com is who I work for now, and I have my own website. And look, I'm happy to be still writing. It's like, I think Hubie Browne once told me, he goes, I think Hubie won NBA Coach of the Year at age 60 something.
Yeah.
He goes, America has it all screwed up. He goes, at the very time when you should be at the peak of your career, like, when you're over 60 and you have all this knowledge of covered stuff all these years, they get rid of you. He goes, I don't understand that.
Yeah, well, it's stupid. And like you talked about Kirk Bowles and Ken Capps, and Bo Carter was out there with us. And Bo, I was as a kid reading Bo Carter in the SEC Sports Journal that Ben Cook did over in Birmingham.
I did that thing.
I waited for that to come in the mail. I mean, there's still, to this day, you love for stuff to come in the mail. My 89-year-old mom, 96-year-old dad still are pissed off that there's no commercial appeal Saturday morning. And he still wants to know the lineup of the games. I think there's always going to be a market for great writers. And the more we try to get everything in a quick drive-by soundbite, the more you long for the great writers. Remember, Ron, I would go up to Tobacco Corner newsroom every Sunday when the Elliott Abel opened at Poplar and Mendenhall to get every paper I could find just to read about the games. You're writing for the Shreveport-Bossier Journal now. You cover LSU, but you cover the SEC now. It's different. I guess you'll be getting into Oklahoma and Texas as well. What do you know about the media that cover those schools? I mean, I know, Barry Trammell's going to be on the show hopefully soon. We're going to have the guy from the Sooner Football Network sideline reporter on the show Friday, Chris Plank. We have a lot of Texas coverage, but they've got massive media coverage, don't they?
Absolutely. Oklahoma is, I know Barry Trammell and Jenny Carlson, they work together. They both are really good writers.
Yeah.
Texas has a massive amount of people, but Kirk Bowles is the man. He always has been in there. I thought the Houston Chronicle was brilliant to pick him up. I mean, again, Kirk may have had the same offer I had from the Times-Picayune.
Yeah.
We're going to throw this enormous amount of money. You can write. You can be a columnist still and do what you want to do. And Texas adds a huge media markets. I mean, look, they add Dallas. I mean, they add Houston. I mean, they already had kind of Houston with A&M. Austin, San Antonio. You pick up a lot of readers. And I think Texas and Oklahoma fans will discover how huge the SEC is once they really get into it. I think the football teams will too. I know. I think Texas is probably better prepared for the SEC than Oklahoma football-wise. I just think, they kind of got a head start when they hired Sark, and he kind of, him having been in the SEC, he had to realize this is what this is why I need to build an SEC caliber football team to beat the SEC when we play them. Of course, last year they did. Year before Alabama last year. Year before they had Alabama beat until when Hewers got hurt. But I just think that Texas is probably better prepared. But what I believe is that Texas and Oklahoma are going to find out that this is a marathon where you play like 6 ranked teams at least a year. Yeah. Every week, unless you're playing Vanderbilt. No disrespect to Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt's Vanderbilt.
We disrespect them all the time around here.
We're trying to figure out what they're doing with their football program.
Well, they've been turned out for 5 decades. But it's just the fact that every week you can get beat in this league because you play a good team every week, and they got great athletes who are going to be in the NFL, a lot of them. You got loud, packed stadiums. Every week is a pressure cooker. There's no playing Kansas or going to Kansas. There's no breathers. And that takes a toll on your body and takes a toll on you mentally. In this league, by the time you get to like early November, you're on fumes, and you better have depth and a way to get to that last month and kind of catch your breath. That's what they're going to find out. And I know people, Texas, Oklahoma, probably their fans probably always thought, man, we can go to the SEC. We can go there and whip some rear end in the SEC. Well, now you're about to find out that it's not as, you can play an SEC team once a year maybe and beat them. And look, I looked this up. I think probably since maybe 2000, there's only been a couple of SEC. There's been like 4 games in the regular season between SEC and Tennessee and Oklahoma. I mean, I think Tennessee played Oklahoma a couple of times. Alabama played Texas a couple of times. That's about it. And so they have, they're about to find out what it means to play in this league every week, where you have to. It burns you out once you get into it. So that's the thing. I'm kind of interested in seeing how they make that adjustment. But I do think Texas is probably better prepared.
Yeah, at this time, I totally agree with you, because you go back and look at the Big 12 in 1996, since it was formed. Texas has won it 4 times, Oklahoma 14. But right now, Sark had them better prepared. And then, Venables has got to replace his quarterback. Jackson Arnold's a great one to do it with, and all 5 starting offensive linemen. I want to switch over east of the Chattahoochee. looking at Florida and Tennessee and Georgia, and we gave the defeated man award at media days to Shane Beamer. He just looked like, wow. I mean, I love the guy because I love his dad because my brother-in-law played at Virginia Tech, and I'm a big Hokie fan. But what are your thoughts? Do you know Billy Napier? And I mean, everybody, you know what? Everybody's on the hot seat in the SEC. You know that. Try losing a game or two. It doesn't matter. How many times did we hear if Nick Saban lost a game, the dynasty is over? I mean, it just crazy stuff happens.
I always laughed about that. Like, oh, they lost a game.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, at that point, Alabama fans were suicidal because they lost a game.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for Beamer. South Carolina is one of those places where, look, historically, probably since 1960, about the same 6 teams have won the SEC title, except for Kentucky shared it one year. The same 6 teams, 7 teams win every year. And why do they do that? Because they're the best recruiting areas in state. They have the best they have good in-state high school football they can tap into.
Yeah.
South Carolina's not like that. They don't. I can name them. Arkansas is not like that. They aren't.
Yeah.
And they have. They used to go to Oklahoma and Texas to get people, but now it's gotten worse because you know what? You can be at A&M or Texas and play the SEC. You're in Oklahoma, you can play the SEC. So that hurts Arkansas. South Carolina's another one of them. What Mississippi State, Ole Miss do in football have done lately is phenomenal because they're in a state where Mississippi traditionally has the lowest average ACT score in the nation.
Yeah.
So the number of qualified athletes is smaller, and the really good athletes want to go somewhere, honestly, where they can win a championship. It used to be that way. Now they want to go where the money is.
Yeah.
But which meant they would go to Alabama or Auburn or LSU, but they wouldn't necessarily go to Ole Miss or State. Now Ole Miss is getting a few of those people. So it's harder. It's harder for those schools to win SEC championship. I mean, I don't think Ole Miss hasn't won one since 1961 or 2.
63. Yeah, you're right.
Mississippi State's only national title, they won that a week before Pearl Harbor was bombed. So it gives you an idea how hard it is to win this league. But South Carolina is another example. It has ebb and flow, but it doesn't have a great in-state high school football. Enough players to where they can say, we can just recruit this. And, of course, and then also you're fighting Clemson in-state.
Yeah.
And so it makes it even harder. But, yeah, I'll look at Florida, honestly, they should have no excuse for not being very good. I mean, Florida has, besides California, they have more great high school athletes than any state in the nation.
Yeah.
And so I know there's Florida State, Miami. I know you're fighting for, but there's enough to go around. And that's why it's always been puzzling, really, ever since. Florida should always have a great offense, honestly, because the amount of high school offensive football in Florida is mind-boggling.
It is.
And it's kind of gone down the drain. I mean, after Spurrier, Urban Meyer had a run with some good people.
Pretty good run.
Good run.
Yeah. Couple of national championships.
Despite a bunch of arrests, honestly. But he had a good run. Really great coach. And then they haven't found the formula. I thought Dan Mullen was I didn't like Dan Mullen at Mississippi State, and that's why I couldn't understand why Florida. The only reason Dan Mullen was half decent at Mississippi State, he tapped in the Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
And the reason Dak Prescott left Louisiana because Les Miles was dumb enough to tell Dak Prescott in high school, I want to recruit you as a tight end. Really? And so I never really I never thought Dan was a great coach at Mississippi State, but Florida liked him, and I didn't think he was a great recruiter.
I was talking to Rob about this yesterday, and I said, the thing about Dan Mullen, I think towards the end, I think Dan Mullen didn't get a lot of credit because I think he was an early transfer portal guy. I think when that came on, he kind of saw that, got excited about it. Dan Mullen is Dan Mullen. I think he's always been super goofy as a person. That's for sure. That's sort of the knock on that guy.
Cousin Eddie.
But, we do a podcast with Urban Meyer once a week during the football season. My dad and I do, called Best Fridays in Football. And, Urban will say straight up, without Dan Mullen in my ear for those 2 national championships, he's like, I don't win those national championships. So I just thought that was interesting. I just wanted to switch because you said Spurrier. And Spurrier came out, and I was just reading earlier today, saying that he thinks FSU should be in the SEC. We're having all this discussion about the shakeup and what's going to happen to the ACC and all that stuff. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, back in '92, SEC wanted Florida State in the SEC, and Bowden wanted no piece of that. None. They may have wanted Texas too at that point. Texas didn't want to come either. I don't know where Florida State's going to go. I think it's logical that they would come to the SEC. They fit the demographic. I don't know how Florida would feel about that. I mean, the SEC has tried hard to protect its members it already has. They've tried to protect Florida. They've tried to protect any other. Probably, I'm sure when A&M got in the league, they didn't ever imagine that Texas would come in the league. That's like probably the worst in their life. Really? Oh my God, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that. I think Florida State, good overall athletic program, not as good as Florida. Florida has the best overall athletic program in the league. That's been. I know people don't believe it because maybe they hadn't been great in football and basketball lately, but they do. I mean, it's proven. Usually, Florida's athletic program wins a couple national championships every year in something. And no other SEC school does that. So I have a great respect for Florida, the athletic program. I still think overall it's the best in SEC. Even though I know fans judge everything by football.
Sure.
And maybe men's basketball. And of course we know Florida baseball is great. We know that. Yeah. So I just I wouldn't mind seeing Florida State in the league. I have no problem with that. But again, the SEC tried that in '92 when they expanded, and that that expansion was really a surprise. I remember when Roy Kramer announced it at SEC spring meetings. At the SEC spring meetings, you have like the commissioner speaks every day at the end of the day. He caught up on stuff. So Roy gets up there and he announces, he got a couple of items. We're thinking about expanding the baseball schedule, into so-and-so games. Women's basketball may go to divisions, blah, blah, blah. And his third item was, as a matter of fact, he goes, also the president's approved the league expansion to offer league expansion slots to South Carolina, Arkansas. Then he went on to something else, and we're all like, whoa, back.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Wait. Back that up. And he just stood there kind of laughing like he knew what he did. But I like to see Florida State. I would. I mean, I think it's a natural thing. Again, but I don't know how much that would be fought by other SEC schools. Or I mean, a lot of times, Florida gets a lot of help from other SEC schools fight some. The one thing that the SEC have to understand is that they fight like hell against each other all season, but most of the time when they get to the SEC spring meetings in Destin, when they decide legislation, they pretty much band together. I mean, there's a lot of discussion, but you walk out of the room pretty unified. I mean, most of the time. I think one of the best people to ever do that as commissioner was Mike Slive. He had a great knack of bringing everybody to a consensus. And I remember one year at the spring meetings. I mean, this was a year Kiffin was at Tennessee, and he was basically just mouthing off at everybody. And I think, I remember Spurrier was angry at him, and Spurrier got him on an elevator, and and must have reamed him out. But I remember that meeting that called all the coaches together and basically read them the riot act. So everybody, Uh, and I think that's the secret of the SEC. It's probably why Texas wanted to join. That's why Greg Sankey says that they're just another member, because they are just another member. They're just another vote. You don't run the league, and that's the secret why the revenue sharing in the SEC has always been. It's secret why in the SEC every school can be good in some sport.
Yes.
I mean, in some sport. I mean, even Vanderbilt baseball and actually their national championships in bowling.
Exactly, bowling.
Every school can be good in something because of revenue sharing. That's the beauty of the SEC, and that shouldn't be ignored.
No, I agree with you. And Ron, we got to get you back on again here very soon. You have such a deep knowledge of history, and growing up in Memphis, right now, I mean, Tennessee's coming back, but you ride around East Memphis, Germantown, Collierville, you'll see more Auburn and Alabama stickers on cars than you will Tennessee. It's crazy. There's so many people, and now Arkansas is very popular. And you've just got, to me, SIDs set the tempo. Again, I was so lucky getting to work for David Housel and Buddy Davidson in high school in the press box. I got my ass chewed out more than once by David, just how you do things. And he'll come up and give you a hug and say, I love you. And he's at the back booth at Chappie's restaurant every morning in Auburn by invitation only. And they solve all the world's problems over, a good breakfast. But God, I love having you on here because again, the great writers, you go back and you look in history, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, it all began with dialogue. And God, and I think about something, Ken Capps, my friend out in Dallas, who's a Texas grad Football Writers Association of America, he said, he and Bo Carter were adamant. He goes, Rob, I can tell you, these Texas, I said, in the SEC, I'm Auburn. I'm remarried, a Vol for life. My oldest daughter's an Alabama grad, and the rest of us are Auburn. I said, St. Louis Catholic Church in Memphis is the de facto LSU alumni function. It seems like every time there's cooking involved. That is what makes this conference special. I said, we all love each other. I mean, we want to beat each other, but we band together. He goes, Texas and OU people, I cannot see them under the same tent. I said, they'll figure it out pretty fast when they go on road trips. But, man, how do people follow you, keep up with you? And you're just a genuinely good person that so many people have said, Browne, you got to find Ron Higgins. And it was like early birthday present. I run into you out there in Dallas. I have so many people have said, we miss you, love Ron Higgins, and over at St. Louis. And then I know you had a son that walked on at Mississippi State, but you're living the American dream right till you're 100 and then announce when you're going to retire on your terms. But I'm with whoever said that about people getting in their 60s. That's when you start hitting your prime. So don't even slow down. Maybe pause and reflect for a minute. But, again, let people know how they follow you, and we'll do this again very soon.
Awesome. You can go to ShreveportBossierJournal.com. It's a free website. And also I have my own website, theronhiggins.com. I write on there. So those are the sites I write on. And I don't plan on returning anytime soon. And I'll probably die in a press box, which is but I want to make sure my story's filed first before I die. And my wife's always said, I told my wife, I said, I want to be cremated and give my ashes to some of my friends, and they can sprinkle a little bit every press box across it. So, yeah.
Oh, you're the real deal. Your father, 19 years at LSU as the SID, man. Hey, thanks so much. We'll do it again soon.
Anytime you need me, I'm here. See you.
All right, appreciate it. Brenden, that's what you love, man, getting the writers. And you think about being up in the press box and all. Take my ashes and just sprinkle them around the press boxes. Vince, when I last saw you, you were in the hotel lobby looking at a stack of paperwork with somebody from the Omni, and I was going, I'm not even going to interrupt him. It looked like he was doing an audit or something like that. But, man, you and the crew from the Sports Animal work your butts off out there. I mean, it's just not. But at the end of the day, it is so much fun out there at Media Days. Mm-hmm. Brad Logan should be joining us here in just a minute from Logan Sports Media Network down in Mississippi. And I want to get the two of y'all. He covers Ole Miss closely in Mississippi State, all things in Mississippi and the SEC. I want to get both of y'all going. But what was your takeaway after you've kind of processed everything that you learned out there, besides every coach, as Ron referenced, We're excited to be here. I love this team. They've worked hard. I'm excited about the summer workout program. I'm excited about these freshmen. I'm excited to be here. Go ahead and ask me some questions, but make them nice. Is that about it?
Yeah, that was kind of the typical process, and then maybe, a lot of the coaches trying to talk way too much in their opening comments to eat up some of the question time, and that's another strategy they've got running through the entire roster and the off season and all that. So nobody is as good as Ed Ogeron, who, by the way, love me some Ron Higgins. Nobody does a better Ed Ogeron than Ron Higgins. You got to get him to do Ogeron on the show.
Should have had him do it.
Yeah. So for next time, for sure.
Yes.
But yeah, it's the typical pattern. But I enjoyed the event. I'm with you. Those things are fun. Yes, you work hard, but it's what you make out of it is what you're going to get out of it. And if you have a plan and you can adjust on the fly, and you bust your butt, you can get things done. I have an interview. I interviewed Arkansas's starting quarterback in Taylor Green. I haven't even had time to put that bad boy up on YouTube yet. That's how crazy it's been and how much work we got done. But
did you get home? Did you get stuck in the Microsoft global shitstorm?
We got back before that. Well, the last good thing that happened to me was basically a quick flight home. It's been downhill ever since then, but
me too.
You've had some rough stuff too, for sure.
Just keep swimming, brother. I remember seeing you. It's like Monday. You're like, all right, what's going on? And we slowly start to decline. We're getting towards the end. You're like, okay, Thursday. Are we really here for an extra day this year? Holy, 4 days. I'm like, can we condense it?
It's been 4 days. It's been 4 days as long as I can remember.
It has been. But it's just that third day was almost like a half day. The way they set it up.
Yeah, because they could have done it in there, but they said they put it in there. I don't know. I like them. I think they're fun. I just wish there was more like a la Steve Spurrier firing off about Georgia or talking about, it's just like hitting to the whistle. Like, where's all that good chatter? Like, this is where you miss like some of those great SEC old school coaches.
Yeah, it's definitely not like that. But I tell you what, the best content is either in one-on-one interviews that don't go national to where everybody hears them, or on some of those ESPN rooms, because this is an ESPN event.
Yeah.
And then we're invited to ESPN's event, and they got a bunch of different rooms. So we'll do some fun stuff. Like, I don't remember which room it was, but they had a lot of players that they'd have on video play the EA Sports College Football 25 and then get their reaction to it. Just fun stuff like that. One room had Lane Kiffin breaking down tape of his dog Juice running out to the field and grabbing the tee, and he was talking about his explosiveness and how nobody had worked with his dog retrieving the green tee at night. So he asked the trainer, "Did you work on that with Juice at night when he had to go retrieve the tee during the game?" He's like, "No." And then once they worked with him retrieving the green tee at night, he was able to execute better. So he's like talking about him like he's a real player. So there's fun stuff like that. Just usually the resources are in one of those ESPN rooms, or it's when you get something on the side privately. But I thought Texas and Oklahoma, just to bring it back to big picture on the event, I thought they blended in just fine. It didn't seem like they were out of place or intimidated, or it looked like they belonged. They certainly have really good players to where they blend in, and they both brought quarterbacks, which was nice also. So I thought they fit in just fine. A lot of, once you hear a lot of rooms, you kind of hear the same question: how do you think Texas is going to adjust to this? So you hear some of that, but look, a lot of listeners that listen to us all day are going to hear the same thing.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But they love it, and they're still going to come back. And so, you hear the same thing, but it's still a fun event overall to cover. Wish the internet would function a little bit better so a lot of us could get more done. There are some radio stations that left because the downloads and stuff.
That is every year.
It is. You're right.
Is an issue. And now that everyone's pushing everything, I mean, now a lot of people, back in the day, people don't understand. You took a Comtrex box, Comrex. Yeah, that's how much I loved it. And it was just like a phone with a box with a mute button. And then, and then you took the telephone line in, and then that clicked in one thing, and then you had telephone coming out the other side of the box. So you're coming in the other side, and then you call into your station. And then you do your mix minus, right? And then you're like, okay, then I can hear the callers coming in on their end. So then you had to have the little signal that you couldn't really have that, producer talk back in your ear. We would have to play a little like, oh, we must have a caller who's on line 2, right?
Let's go to Mildred in Tuscaloosa.
And now that's not the thing. Now you can come in and dial in through the internet, stream to like a Skype or something else. You can have a little bit, or a lot of people are just streaming direct to their platforms at the same time. Yeah. But the internet, especially with audio, the internet has become the preferred way for a lot of these things to go down. That's why I told Rob. I said, Rob's like, well, should we get this thing on Radio Roll? I said, no, Rob, let's just do it in our room, and let's bring our hotspot, because if we get a high enough room, we should be able to get a better internet. And that was really the way to go this year, because we had great internet the whole time we were there, and able to do 2 shows a day, push stuff down the line, post content. So anyway, I don't mean to go off on it, but that is just an issue every year. And then in the SEC as a whole, internet in-house, probably not at Tennessee, because Tennessee's awesome. I love that stadium. But and by the way, I need you to get me into the Tennessee Navy, Vince, now that we're homies. We've done SEC media days together. I feel like we're boys. Yeah. Like, do you know someone that I can ride pregame down in the Tennessee Navy? I've never done that. I want to have that whole experience.
At least you're not asking me to get you to run through the T in the middle of
I've had that question for me at the Swamp, so I
trust me.
Yeah,
guys. Cousin Mark, Audrey's cousin Mark, the one that has 10 season tickets and the ginormous tailgate by that guy with the torch, is thinking about doing something so he can run his family through the giant T. At this time, the Pride of the Southland Band will form a giant T, and in just a few moments, the Tennessee Volunteers will run. John Ward and Bill Anderson, iconic. God, I love it. That is one of the great venues in college football. And you ask longtime SEC fans, when you go and that Saturday morning sunrise, when you're out there in your RVs or just walking around early because you hadn't been in from the night before, that sunrise on the Tennessee River, the Vol Navy, it's spectacular. Brad Logan, supposed to be on, just texted me and said, man, I apologize. I misread that as Thursday and got the days wrong. So we've got all Vince, the sports animal, Los Animales in Knoxville, Tennessee, talking Tennessee and SEC.
But you cut off my man Vince here. I need to know if I can get in the Navy, Rob.
We'll get you in the Navy.
I believe you, Rob, but I believe Vince more because he's got a little more juice there, I think.
Cousin Mark will get you in. Okay. I promise you. Cousin Mark will get you on the Vol, and Vince will come with us on the Vol Navy.
I was going to say, I need Rob's hookup with Cousin Mark.
Yeah.
So maybe we go over there.
Yeah. Cousin Mark, they start cooking the brisket Thursday morning. They start cooking. And we've had Roman Harper come over there the last 2 years, every time he's there for SEC Nation. And he is such a cool guy. He and Colt Kubelik's show on Monday nights, Read and React, is such a great football show. And I saw Chris Doring, another one of the Truth Brokers, on the Buddy Martin show Monday night. Let me tell you what, Vince,
good guy.
Tennessee football right now, looking in the East, they got picked 7th. And, and I always give credit because I listen to a lot of shows like your show and Chuck Oliver's show. And Heath Klein, Chuck's producer, they were at Media Days all week, and was talking about the way they vote. Maybe 25% of the people at Media Days vote in that poll to rank the teams in the SEC.
I voted.
And so many people are gone. They got a flight to catch or whatever. And basically, it was a lot of Texas media that didn't have as far to go. But Tennessee picked 7th. That's a sign of
the one
strength.
online that you went online. They sent us a link, right? And then we voted.
Yeah, they did. And I got so busy. I'll admit I didn't do it. Okay, and shame on me, but I'll tell you, my top 4. I've got Georgia, Ole Miss, Alabama, and Missouri are my top 4. And I'm like, Tennessee, I got them winning 9. But if they win 10, Vince, Tennessee is in the 12-team playoff. And I've heard people, one of the Florida guys said that if the Gators go 8-4 with their schedule and it's a 9-3 team that's on the bubble, it's going to be like the NCAA basketball tournament. Remember when Kentucky went that year when they were 16-12? Because they're Kentucky. What do you think about that?
I don't see 3 loss. Look, because if there's a chance that Florida's schedule, if Florida is better than we expected, and they're putting losses on their opponents, maybe some of those teams don't end up being as good as we think they're going to be on paper right now. And certainly it can go the other way. Nobody saw Missouri being that good. A lot of SEC teams that had Missouri on the schedule where fans or media put a W next to Missouri going in, and they ended up being a lot more difficult than what it looked like. So there's going to be some of that, but I don't think three losses will get you in. And honestly, I think Oklahoma is right there with Florida in terms of difficult schedule. So, but
I would agree with that.
Yeah,
I would agree with that. I was looking at the schedule here. I'll pop it up. I was looking. You keep talking, Vince. I got the whole SEC schedule here.
By the way, Vince, your internet has never looked better. Your connection. I don't know what you're doing.
It's because he's in the back room. Whenever he goes in the back room and he gets rid of that like virtual shit in the background.
Yeah, I mean, Vince, I feel like we're on the set of like, well, we are. We got a great producer, and by the way, it's so much fun. Like 16-hour days. It's like being a kid for 16 hours hanging out at Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
No.
That's how much fun media days are.
No, it's not. I don't like it that much. No, Rob, you like it a lot. I grew up in these things. Like I get about like 10 o'clock. I'm like, coffee's done. I'm having conference coffee. I want to go.
Yeah, which is horrible.
I'm like, you know what? You're going to give it to me anyways on the download. So I'm like, I'll just get, which didn't work very well anyways. But anyway, Vince, here's the SEC schedule. You were sort of discussing it here. So.
Yeah, and by the way, Rob's like the mayor of media days. So
I know. Trust me, I have to bust his balls because everyone loves him so much. So I have to somebody's got to keep him above his raisins.
Yeah,
it's fun. It's a lot of fun to be out there, man. It is so much fun.
Love the graphic, and Oklahoma to me is right up there with the most difficult schedule. And you think about those challenges on the road: Auburn, LSU, Ole Miss, Missouri. Those are all going to be above 500 teams, not only overall, but maybe even in league play. I think Auburn will be better. Ole Miss could be a 10-win team. LSU could be a 9 or 10-win team. Missouri is in that range. They're picked ahead of even Tennessee. And then you get the home games with Texas being in Dallas, Tennessee, Alabama, and then your weakest game is South Carolina in conference play. That is just brutal. Compare that to the team right next to them. And I was debating with a listener today about it. I said that Missouri had one of the easier schedules, and they interpreted it as me saying that Tennessee's schedule was the same as Missouri. I wasn't saying that, but it is one of the lighter schedules in the league. Arkansas is in the bottom part of the league. Vanderbilt is, Mississippi State is, South Carolina is, and Texas A&M a little bit TBD on what they're at, but they could be, in that 8-win range. So they have a few tough games in there. Last year they weren't successful, but their opponents, but they have some challenges, but not the depth of the league. If you look at the preseason projections, I went through this, kind of gives you a perspective on how teams are viewed going into the year. Tennessee plays 5 of the 6 worst teams based on the voting by the league. And those would include Kentucky, Florida, Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Vanderbilt. Florida's a rival, so maybe it's tougher than that. Kentucky has been good. Maybe they do take a step back, although I don't know about that bad. So South Carolina is the only team in the bottom part of the league in the preseason voting that Tennessee doesn't play. Missouri, if you look at the bottom half of the league, Oklahoma's in the bottom half of the league because they're 8th. Texas A&M, yeah, those are on the fringe. They play Auburn. Yeah, those are on the bottom half, but they're kind of in the middle of the pack. But they also play the 4 worst teams in South Carolina, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt. So that's to me very different than an Oklahoma schedule. And Tennessee's is a little bit harder. The difference with Tennessee is Tennessee has Georgia and Missouri does not. Both of them play Alabama. And so, yeah, there is a discrepancy in some of these league schedules for sure.
Well, looking at there, again, this is what I always like to say about schedules. When you are looking at it July 24th on SEC Sidelines Sports Network, and you're saying, okay, all things as they are. But we know guys are going to get hurt. Some guys are going to quit. There are going to be some freshmen come in that are better than expected. There's going to be some crazy stuff that happens. We know this about Florida, Tennessee. That is a damn good rivalry. Florida is very comfortable going up to Neyland Stadium. Last year, they put it to Tennessee, so you know Tennessee is going to be out to get the win, but they would anyway, whether they won or lost last year. But you think about all these matchups, and Oklahoma, that's the first SEC game for them in Norman, September 21st, the first day of fall. And here we all remember the Tennessee-Oklahoma game in Neyland back. Was that in the 2016 season?
I believe so. 2016 and Neyland, 2015 and Norman when they played the home and home. Yeah. And
that was a big time. I mean, look.
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. Oklahoma's maybe 6th all time in wins. Tennessee's like about 9th. You've got LSU or Georgia's 10th all time. I think LSU's 11, Auburn's 12. I mean, it's a crowded house up there at the top. You think about Tennessee, Nico Iamaleava. And I've been working on that, and Brenden and I have too. I still struggle with DJ.
You have to say it 3 times fast.
Yeah, Nico Iamaleava.
Wow,
you get the old school sports. Yeah, it is.
We need a graphic with the phonetic for all the listeners.
Remember when you would get the
high-end graphics here? Is how I do it.
Program. They had the pronunciation in the press box, for all the names, and you're like going, wow. And a lot of these Nigerian names, they're tough. But, I think of, there was Auburn had Igbenogany, the great defensive back just a few years ago from Hewitt-Trussville. But once you say those names, repetition's the mother of all skill.
Yep.
James Pierce, edge rusher for Tennessee. You talk about him. He could be one of the top 3 guys taken off the board on day 1 of the draft. Mm-hmm. What's on the other end for Tennessee? And let's talk about the depth on the defensive front, because Rodney Garner, Coach G, the kind man that he is, he's put over 40 guys in the NFL. He is one of the elite defensive line coaches in all of college football.
I was a little surprised that Tennessee didn't have a defensive lineman on the All-SEC team. They only had
Omari Thomas.
No Omari Thomas. Omar Norman Lott he's the second in among the returning players in tackles for loss, had 5 sacks as well. Bryson Eason. I mean, they're really deep. They have 5 stars that, are young, that are trying to get bigger roles. They're talented up there. They're as deep a defensive line. Maybe just Georgia would be the one, if you're doing unit around the 16-team league, that's better. With the losses that Texas had, they're that good, and that's the strength of this team. I'm a little surprised they didn't have somebody break through in the league. Tennessee only had 2 players on the All-SEC team. Georgia had 15. Texas had 13. Those 2 teams are better than Tennessee. I don't know that matches the gap that's there. I don't think it's that. I think it goes back to kind of what we're talking about with the voting. There's not a lot of people voting. If you look at the total votes for SEC champion, which is ridiculous that people picked Vanderbilt and South Carolina, like automatic ejection from your vote.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah. But if those are 1 point just based on the champion, if that's the number of ballots submitted, that's just over 200. There were over 1,200 media.
Exactly.
And only 200 are voting.
I don't think they did a good job at putting out the thing. I think the link sucked. I'm sorry. Yeah. The link sucked. The whole website sucked. I couldn't download stuff from there all week. And also the selection, like when you filled it out. So like you could say you had to choose 3. Okay. If you chose 5, it lets you choose 5, but then says, oh wait, you chose 5 out of 3 in little tiny type. And you had to go back and unselect. I bet you a lot of people just gave up on it because it was a pain in the ass.
Well, yeah. We got the 2-minute warning here on the show today. We're going to try to keep it under an hour, but no, Vince, I'm with you. That's it. So few people listen. That few people voting, it sways things in big ways, left or right. It's not a. I don't think it's even close to an accurate barometer. I mean, shame on me for not getting it done. I was so busy doing everything else. I should have voted.
Well, where you saw me at the front desk trying to fix the overcharges and the mess that we had there.
That's why I
was going to do it on Thursday if it wasn't for that.
Yeah, that's why I didn't park there. I parked over at our friend's place and got my truck afterward and saved about $300 because they start hitting you with these exit charges and all.
Valet,
Vince, we're about out of time. Yeah. Awesome stuff, man. Right now we are on the cusp of it's going to be a great season. And we say it every year, but you said it best. Texas and OU, listen, they wear cowboy hats and boots and big belt buckles. They're going to fit right in to the SEC. Now, the real battle, who is the real UT? That one, without Tennesseans moving to Texas, there ain't no Texas. The Volunteers.
Hey, I interviewed Randall Cobb from the SEC Network. I think I actually talked to him before they announced his retirement, and then he was an SEC Network talent. Like, we got a list that, hey, if you're interested in our talent, it included Randall Cobb. I'm like, I didn't know he wasn't with the Jets. So great, I'll talk to him. And I was able to talk to him. He's from down the road in Alcoa, Tennessee, who started there and then went to Kentucky. But just real quick, he said I was debating. Someone was having a debate with me on who the real UT is. He said, I only know one. That's the University of Tennessee. So even he said it.
Big Orange. All right.
Always.
Hey, we live in the greatest country in the world, folks. Be blessed. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Tell your friends, family, and neighbors. Vince, Ron Higgins, Brenden, love it. Tomorrow is going to be even more fun. We'll be live from Auburn. And Brenden, I got to call you about a technical question right after the show. But have a great day, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Vince. It was always good to hang out with you down there in Dallas. You're the best, buddy.
It's fun.
Same, Brenden. Appreciate you
guys. All right.
Love it.
In a perfect world, you'd set a health goal and results would happen overnight. In this world, the real world, it takes time, dedication, and the right support to achieve your best self. The Vitamin Shoppe health enthusiasts are here to make sure you're not wasting a single moment on the wrong supplements. From the highest quality sports nutrition and superfoods to the most sought after trends, you'll find a huge variety of science-backed solutions for every goal. And the people to help guide you along the path to greatness.
Unbelievably, every 2 minutes in our communities, a child is either bought or sold for sex. I am Ari Dickey, board member for the Nashville Anti-Human Trafficking Coalition. Join me and millions of others in our fight against human trafficking and for its victims by helping to educate the most vulnerable among us, our middle and high school students. Go to nhtcoalition.org, become a partner, and help keep our families safe, because none of God's children are for sale.